This homemade mead. Yes, I know it's not. It's in a bottle that says Miller High Life. I drank the Miller High Life that came in this bottle when I bought it. I cleaned it out and then I bottled my own mead with it. And yeah, I put like a cap on it and everything. I took the cap off. Actually, I already drank a bottle already and I'm just working on the second one. But look at the color. Look at how light that color is. So it's actually a blackberry and honey mead. So that color is like blackberry, honey, spring water. It's not as my friend made it. We made it together, and his ratio was higher blackberry than mine. Mine's higher honey, so mine's a lighter one. It kind of tastes like a very very sweet white wine. It's a little dry like a white wine. It's not nearly as dry as a white wine. Has the same kind of taste as a white wine, but it's sweeter. And you can tell by the color. So this is what a mead is. In a mead, the difference between wine and mead is wine gets your sugar content predominantly from grapes. Mead gets the sugar content to make alcohol predominantly from honey. So it's sweeter. It can be the same alcohol percentage depending on how long you age it. Um, Wine is generally aged longer than mead, but mead can get pretty high too. I think mead could go about 10 to 15% is average. I think my initial gravity reading on this was about like 11 or 12%, and I only really aged it for like a month, so it's probably about 10 to 12%. Higher than what was in this originally. I think what's in this originally, Miller High Life is only let's see. I believe it's pretty low. I feel like it should tell you the alcohol percentage. 4.6. So the meat in this is definitely higher than what was originally in this, and I could tell because two Miller High Lifes, one I'd get like a barely buzzed, like if at all. Even if I ate something before and I drank two Miller High Lifes, I probably wouldn't get buzzed at all. I drank one bottle and then it's probably about here, so a little bit. No, I'm feeling buzzed, so definitely higher alcohol content. And it tastes good too. Like I'm gonna be real. I like this taste more than mead. I mean, yeah, it's higher ABV, but it's also a lot sweeter than a beer. Tastes a little. I can taste the yeast in it because it was only aged for a month. The yeast flavor isn't really that bad. It's definitely like a noticeable. You could smell the yeast and you could taste it, but the amount of honey that you have to use, it's literally like 2 to 3 gallons, 2 to 3 pounds of honey for every gallon you use. This one came from a gallon jug, so I believe there's probably about 2.5 to 3 pounds of honey in there. Not exactly sure of the ratio anymore. This one was really high honey and not as much blackberries. My friend had a much bigger jug. We made two, and then he had the big one at his house. I have the smaller one at my house. His had a lot more blackberries, and you could tell because it's a lot darker. This one had actually more honey than like a lot more honey to blackberry ratio. So this one actually might be higher ABV than his, but his is probably a bit sweeter. It has a bit more of a noticeable blackberry flavor, but yeah, it has a really nice color. In real life, it's like pink. It looks kind of murky on the camera, but in real life, it's very pink. I think that's just from, just the clearness, kind of the watered down look of the spring water that we used, the darkness of the blackberry, and the light, orange of honey. We didn't use like super fancy honey. I think we used organic honey, not necessarily like super raw, like awesome honey, but we just used Costco honey, nothing special. Actually, Costco has a really good deal on honey. You could get a 5-pound container of honey for $13. It might just be, my local Costco. I don't know if they have national pricing, but or even international because they have Costco in different parts of the world. When I was in Mexico, they had Costco there as well. I know there's Costco in the UK and a bunch of countries. So, but yeah, 13 USD for 5 pounds of honey is crazy. We didn't use. They have like two Kirkland brands of honey, so we used something else. I think we actually used the better, more expensive type of honey, not the third, the not the 5 pounds for $13 one. We also used spring water, not tap water, just so everything's really high quality. Also, the blackberries were frozen, but organic. We used the highest quality blackberries. They had at Yolks. I know the Yolks is like a local thing. Also here, like the mayo, we call it best. It's Best Foods in my state, and east of the Rockies, I believe it's Hellman's. And also Fred Meyer isn't, or Kroger is Fred Meyer here. So we have Fred Meyer, same thing as Kroger, and then Hellman's mayonnaise is Best Foods mayonnaise. There's a couple other differences on the West Coast, but those are ones that I can think of. Oh, also Hardee's isn't Hardee's, it's Carl's Jr. here. It's Carl's Jr.'s here, and then I know most places I think it's Hardee's. Hey, what's up? We're trying this meat I made. It's homemade. Tastes pretty good. I like it. It's homemade alcohol, if you're wondering. Yes, you can make alcohol by yourself. It's not that difficult. It's not the easiest alcohol I made. You could buy like just a Nature's Valley or Florida Natural bottle of. You could use anything. You could use any bottle of juice that does not contain potassium sorbate in it. If it has potassium sorbate in it, it can mess with fermentation. But if you get juice without potassium sorbate, you can actually turn it into alcohol. Alcohol. I just said it like a ghetto person there, but yeah, it's pretty easy. It's very easy to make alcohol if you didn't know. You could use bread yeast. You literally just like pour out. You could pour out a little bit of alcohol. You can pour out a little bit of juice, add in a bunch of sugar, and then yeast, and then put the cap on about halfway. Enough where it's closed, but it's not sealed. I've made alcohol that way too. This one was done more professionally. Like we used a recipe in actual gallon jugs and alcohol making equipment like an air stop. We used brewer's yeast. I think we used champagne yeast in this. I've used bread yeast before, but I've heard that's yeah, that's not like high quality you want to use for meads. It's pretty popular to use champagne yeast. There's a lot of different kinds of yeast too. There's like really fast acting yeast. There's slower acting yeast. I think slower acting leaves less of a yeast taste to the alcohol, or at least if you age it for a long time. Quicker at yeast, it actually get you to a higher ABV in a shorter amount of time, but the side effects of that are that it leaves more of a yeast taste. If you use a slower acting yeast, then there isn't as much of a residual flavor. You know it's homemade because there's a bit of sediment. There's a bit of blackberry on the bottom. You can only siphon out so much. I mean, I made like 8 bottles of this, and maybe 2 or 3 of them are completely clear with no blackberry. Siphoning's kind of a bitch though. You have to so it's just a normal like tube, like if you went to the hospital and they put in a tube in your arm, it's the same type of tube. Then there's like a little L-shaped like glass thing. Then there's like the stopper thing on the end of it. And then on the other end, there's like this little clip. There's this little clamp that you press down that stops and opens the other end of the tube. And you need to like fill it up with water, and you have to do it like in a kind of a specific way. And then you put the stopgap in, and then the siphon, yeah, just acts. The water's the gap. It starts the siphon, and then you'll see the L-shaped tube start to fill with ear liquid. Then there's the water on the other end of it, and then you open up the other end of the tube, and then all the water comes out, and then the liquid starts coming out. But sometimes it can lose pressure, and then you have to do it all over again. So if I had something like an air pump, you don't need that, but I mean the siphon method works. I mean you can make that at home if you didn't have the equipment. Luckily, I bought like a beer making kit from a Value Village, so it actually has like I forgot what it's called. It's like an alcohol barometer or something to measure your ABV. And then there's also the siphon kit, and then the air stop, and then a gallon jug for the beer. I heard beer is more complicated to make than mead. There's actually like boiling and stuff. Like mead, you don't really need to boil it. You just pour like water into it, and then mix all your ingredients, and you don't really need to boil anything because it's literally like most mead is this. It's fruit, lots of honey, water. Like there's a little bit of spices in here. We used like allspice. So I think we use like 3 different types of spices, like allspice, something else. We kept it pretty simple, just blackberry, honey, spring water, and I think like 2 different spices, and not that much. We didn't really add that much spice to it, but it gives it a little flavoring. It's kind of hard to tell like the blackberry taste from it because the mead you have to add so much honey to get the ABV because that's where the majority of your sugar comes from. Like I don't know how to make mead with no alcohol taste. I feel like it'd be pretty hard, but a really high amount of honey helps with it because yes, most of the alcohol gets turned yes, most of the honey gets turned into alcohol, but um, the residual, the stuff that doesn't get turned into alcohol, it adds a lot of sweetness to it. It's far different from like a vodka where, uh, you know, obviously during fermentation the sugar gets converted into alcohol. But when you're distilling it, you're stripping out a lot of the excess stuff in the alcohol, like all the water, all the basically just you're stripping out a large portion of the water to get pure diluted alcohol, and then like vodka. That's how like vodka and stuff is made. It's you produce the pure alcohol, and then the other stuff is just you add water to lower the ABV. Because if you drink like straight vodka, like the stuff that just came out, it would be like Everclear, you know. Like they have to water it down to get it to like usually vodka is around 40% alcohol, so when it comes out it's probably closer to like 90-95%, and then they have to add water. um they just calculate the ratio, and then it becomes lower. It's like if you make a cocktail, you add like this bit of alcohol, this bit of juice, and then other stuff too, and then your ratio actually goes down. Like the more you dilute your alcohol, the lower by volume it becomes actual alcohol. So that's why this actual alcohol, like pure alcohol, is gonna have a very clear look, like a vodka or a Everclear. Everclear looks like water because it's just pure alcohol. There's no dilutants or anything in it. Then other alcohol, like any brown alcohol, any beer, any wine, it has a color to it because there's a lot of other stuff in it. Pure alcohol doesn't have that look. It's pure alcohol. Closer it looks to water, the more pure alcohol it is. That's why isopropyl alcohol, like 95%, is just it looks like water. It's actually it's like a chemistry lesson, honestly. It's a fun chemistry lesson because you get drunk as fuck off of it. Chemistry is pretty cool because like you can make all sorts of stuff with it. You can make bombs. You get chemistry. You can make bombs. You can make medicine. You can make recreational drugs. You can make alcohol. Like even cooking, just basic cooking is actually chemistry. Just like stuff reacting to heat. Cooking is all about the heat. Baking especially. I mean, yeah, baking. Hey, what's up? Was the drinking this homemade mead? It's booze. I just gave a little lesson on how alcohol's made. You probably aren't interested in that. You want to see a hot fucking chick twerking her ass. I mean, me too, but like, come on. Give a brother a like or comment. Oh, I'm feeling pretty good off of it. It's some good stuff. It feels even better once you know it's homemade. This shit was made by me and my friend. His dad actually is like, he didn't have to have like any extra equipment that he bought himself because his dad already has all the stuff for beer making. It's basically if you have the equipment for beer making, you have the equipment for mead making. Distilling is a whole different ballgame because you actually have to have a distillation setup and everything like that. Dude, even you know how prisoners make it? I mean, they make it the exact same way, but because of their resources, like the chemical process is the exact same. Like a prisoner making Pruno or prison wine or hooch. It's the same process chemically, but they use different stuff. And they make liquor or white lightning as they call it in a prison. They put like they take like two wires and they connect it to metal and they connect it to an outlet so it gets hot. and they like put it in a container in a plastic bag, and then they have like fermented mulch, basically like the stuff that settles at the bottom, and alcohol, and then that steams up, and then it gets caught on the plastic bag on the outside, and then that's actually distillation, and then you could and they like flake it, and then it drops down, and then that's how they make the liquor. So it's just like ghetto, distillation. I'm sure plenty of prisoners have probably died because if you don't know, but when you make liquor, the first bit that comes off, like the stuff that starts dripping first, it's like pure methane. The first little bit of liquor that comes off. So you have to like take like a cup of that, or based on how much you make, and then you have to throw it out because if you drink pure methane, you're gonna go blind. So, and then the rest of is just normal liquor. So you never. That's a tip for distillation. You never drink the first run because it's methane, and you could die from it or go blind. Just a little trip, just a little tip if you want to make your own alcohol, especially liquor. Liquor is the most dangerous. This stuff, if you mess up or anything goes wrong with it, the most you're gonna get. You don't have to go to the hospital. You'll probably get like a little stomach flu. You might have an upset stomach. You might have diarrhea. You might vomit a little. That's it. Methane is if you're making liquor, it's a whole different ball game. You can go blind. You die. It's because yeah, methane is just like it's just pure concentrated poison. That's higher the ABV goes, the higher the risk. Lower the ABV, like beer, wine, Mel, which this technically is. Uh, Chances go way down. That's why you can't drink pure isopropyl alcohol either. I think that you can in small amounts, and the higher tolerance you have to alcohol, the higher it goes up without the risk of you dying. Actually, there's this homeless guy, and I've seen him actually drink a bottle of pure isopropyl alcohol. And that's because he's a serious alcoholic. If you're a really serious alcoholic, you could probably stomach, um, you know, you could probably stomach it. But the average person isn't going to be able to handle straight 95% alcohol, or high amounts of it, at least. Everclear you could drink, but yeah, there's no way you're drinking high amounts of it. Okay, Shoe Nice did a Everclear chug, and the reason why he was able to do it, and he had the cap sealed and everything. I don't think he manipulated that in any sort of way. And he just did a straight chug of like Everclear and shit, and like vodka and really high ABV stuff, Jack Daniels. It's because he admitted it himself. He said, "Yeah, I chugged it. You can chug Everclear, but as soon as the video turns off, he said like, it's not like it's staying in my system for very long. Like you chug a handle or like a liter of fucking Everclear, it's not gonna stay down. Like your body physically can't, you know, you literally just ingested poison. If you keep that, you're probably gonna die, or you need to go to the hospital and get your stomach pumped." He said like, after I did the chug, he's like, and the video ends immediately after he just starts throwing up, like either forced or because it's just so sickening. He said like he's like, yeah, I didn't even get like super drunk off of it because I just vomited all up immediately. Had no time to actually like. There's no time for your liver to process it or actually go through any of your organs if you just vomited up immediately. That's actually the advice that people give you. If you get poisoned, like especially like orally or anything like that, it's not directly in your bloodstream. Because if you ingest stuff orally, like poison, it's gonna get filtered out usually by like your kidneys and everything like that. So if you've ingested poison, you should just start throwing up immediately. Also overdose. If you don't have like Narcan or it can't be treated with Narcan, the hospital does. They're gonna induce vomiting, induce. They're gonna try to make you sweat as much as possible. Literally anything to expel it. So like shit, piss, vomit, sweat. If it can't be treated with Narcan, like an overdose, you have to do all that stuff. Because your body is like a filter. Like stuff goes into it and it has to come out. Like the food we eat, the liquid we drink, it all goes out in different ways. So like anything you ingest, your body is a filter. Like especially your kidneys, your liver, things like that. It all gets filtered out through that. So if you ingest any sort of poison, it gets filtered out through those organs. Like a coffee filter. If you didn't have the coffee filter, there'd be a bunch of grains in your coffee, and it tastes way stronger than it already is. Yeah, the human body is really amazing with what it can tolerate and what it does like every second of the day on a daily basis. Yeah, it's like your brain actually sends electrical signals to each one of your nerves to tell it what to do. And then the nerves and everything communicates with your heart. Your heart has to know what beats per minute to like actually pump your blood at into every single organ of your body. I think like yeah, the heart and your brain are actually the most important. Like if other stuff gets removed, you will die. I think kidneys, you could survive off one kidney. Your liver, you need. I think like an appendix, you could actually have removed, and it won't kill you. But yeah, your heart and your brain are the most important because if either one of those goes, it's like actually your brain is the thing telling what all of your body to do, and like the heart is just like the workhorse that takes those orders and sends it to each part of your body. That's why I don't believe in like. That's why I'm not an atheist. Like, there's no way with how complex the universe is and you know, organisms in the earth that there's no intelligent design behind it, or that it just came randomly or through a series of millions of years of evolution. Like it's just not possible. I do believe in evolution, more like adaptation, but I do believe that an intelligent designer put it all into motion. Because the Bible doesn't even disagree with evolution. Actually, there's a quote in the Bible that says that man was made from the slime of the earth, and if you read into that logic, like there's a very specific words for the Bible to use that God made, living beings out of the slime of the earth. Like evolution actually says the same thing. I just believe it's not feasible that the earth is, how complex everything is, that it just happened to come about randomly, you know? Because it's like if you run an experiment wrong every single time, it's always going to turn out to be wrong. Like there's different variables in an experiment. Like if you're trying to achieve a specific result and then you run an experiment purposefully wrong every single time with no changes to the variables, it'll always be 100% wrong. And like that's like the universe and you know, um every being on it in like physics. So it's like if you run an experiment wrong 100% of the time, you will never get a 100% right result. So like that's kind of my thought process on like why there is a God. It's because like without intelligent design, I don't believe that any of it could come randomly. It's not feasible at all. That's why like atheists, I think more. Yeah, there's atheists that want to disagree with it scientifically, but the majority of atheists say that it's because of like different factors, like why is there suffering in the universe? Was there suffering on Earth? Why is there all this? Why is there natural disasters and stuff? And it's like uh, that argument is like, well, if your life was perfect, like if there's no evil, like how do you know what good is? If there, you know, it's like the two actually coexist. It's like there is no good. If you think about point of reference, there is no good if there is no evil, and there's no good if there's only evil. It's like there's a mix of between the two. And good can come not directly out of evil, but as a result of it, like partially. It's like yeah, there's plenty of bad situations that happen in life, but there is good that could come out of it. Like I think atheism is just it's just such a nihilistic view. It's like oh, humans are just created. They're just animals with pure raw emotion that uh you know their only influence on thinking is outside variables, and they have no control over it. And it's like it's not true, man. You can't tell me that any animal is more complex than a human, because yeah, each there's plenty of animals with better instincts, better fighting abilities, better size, better strength, but none that match a human in terms of intellect and what we've been able to create and the complexity of what we've been able to create. Yes, a dolphin is very smart. A bat is very smart. They use, echolocation. Animals' instincts are far superior to humans. You know, human has instinct too. Like we know to breathe, we know to blink, we know to eat, we know to sleep, we know to shit, we know to piss. Those are pure animal instincts. That's what every animal possesses, and a human is an animal. It is a mammal, but intellect and thinking of how to innovate, how to create art, expression, you know, uh, like every like higher thinking animals do not possess that. Like yes, there are animals that have higher instincts than others, have better instincts than others, but they don't possess intelligent thought, no matter how complex they are. Their their thinking and their way of living life is based on instinct, not intellect. Humans have both. Humans have instinct and intellect. We have the basic animal instincts. That's why we get angry. That's why we get horny. That's why we get hungry. That's why we get sleepy. That's why when you have pain, it hurts. Yes, humans up. If we didn't have any of that, we wouldn't become if we were all intellect, no um no instinct, humans would be useless. But we actually have both. So it's like atheism is kind of nihilistic when it says that it's just uh we are just humans aren't better than animals, that we rely on instinct and outside influences to converse how we think. Like there definitely is a metaphysical world. Like atheism is the denial of a metaphysical or spiritual reality. It's the denial that anything exists beyond our thinking or our perception of reality. It's like you don't think that you love something because it provides value to you. Like it makes your life easier. Not necessarily that it makes you happy, not necessarily that it makes you feel any sort of emotion, because it makes your life easier to have that. Like love is a metaphysical concept. Atheist explanation is like dopamine and stuff. It's like, yeah, that's a factor, but uh, like any sort of emotion is metaphysical, you know? It's both. It's instinct and intellect. You know, I'm willing to debate with like a atheist, but they won't change my mind. It's like at the end of the day, I don't think the two beliefs are that much different. It's just we come to different conclusions about the beginnings of it, really. Just like the creation of the universe and things that exist in it. And I think the atheists have a lot more faith than the deist because, you know, the atheist believe that something created itself out of nothing. The theist also believes something created itself out of nothing, but they believe that a higher power did that to itself, not the physical universe. It's like a theist says God created, you know, himself and then created the universe. An atheist believes that the universe created itself with no outside influence. And it's like my thought process is, well, if you just replace the words God with universe, you know, God created itself or the universe created itself, it fundamentally is the same thing. And I just go for the fact that something higher than a physical being created the physical being. You know, even in like the French Revolution and stuff, it's like people tend to think that they're atheists and all that stuff, but no, it's like even back then their qualms were against the Catholic Church in the Kingdom of France. They most of them weren't atheists, most of them were deists. They still believe that there's a higher power, they still believe there's a supreme being. They just didn't believe in you know, religion in a state religion. So and they're like, oh, French Revolution, you know, it's the beginning of left wing thinking in the world, and you know they're all atheists. It's like it's not true. They weren't. Most of them weren't atheists. They're deists. People also think you know a lot of the founding fathers are Christians when in reality they're Freemasons and deists. And the two go along because also in the French Revolution, which happened after the American Revolution, the majority of you know the French revolutionaries were you know deists and Freemasons. Freemasons are deists, just like a Catholic, just like a Protestant, just like a Muslim, just like a Jew. You know, anyone that believes in any sort of higher power, you know, uh, they aren't like them, and they just don't believe in the religion aspect of it. They believe in higher power. I personally am not a deist. I mean, I do understand why deists believe what they believe, but like atheist, I just can't. I can't comprehend why. It's like an atheist needs a lot more faith than a deist because at least a deist, we might not have all the answers for everything. Just like an atheist, I don't believe that you could, 100% beyond a doubt, prove one way that there is a god or there isn't a god. I don't think there's anything that a human could comprehend fully because a human can't comprehend eternity fully. You know, eternity isn't uh there was a beginning and then there is no end. Eternity is always existing. A human can't fully comprehend that. No one can. A theist or a deist or an atheist can't fully comprehend true eternity, no beginning, no end. Like we have a concept of finite time and infinite time doesn't go along with that. Like it's beyond our comprehension. We'll never fully understand it. But like an atheist has more faith than a deist in that aspect because that they believe that the infinity aspect of it was created with no outside influence other than itself. I mean, eventually you do have to go against the laws of physics either way, because you believe that something created itself out of nothing, out of no physical material, out of nothingness. I believe one of the the one of the laws of thermodynamics is something can't create itself out of nothing, which both sides believe, but one side believes in something that isn't physical, it's metaphysical, aka God, and then one side believes it is physical, aka the universe. So it's like eventually somewhere along the road, one of them needs to go against one of the laws of thermodynamics, which is something can't create itself out of nothing. And I believe that is possible for a supernatural, non physical being. But a physical being can't deviate from the laws of physics, obviously. It's not possible. A human, we could synthesize water, we could synthesize hydrogen, we could synthesize nitrogen, but we can't do it out of nothing. We need chemicals to do it. We need stuff that has already existed in the universe to be able to do it. So that law of physics is proven in the physical aspect. Or matter cannot be created nor destroyed because, like an atom, you can't fully destroy it. It's just dispersed. A single atom can be dispersed into like, even more. Like it just gets divided. You can't actually create or destroy matter, because let's say you put water on a stove, it evaporates. Eventually, it goes either into the surrounding areas and then eventually into the atmosphere, goes into a cloud, it comes back down as rain, and then the cycle rinses and repeats. We have a finite amount of water on this earth, but we will never run out because of the law. It evaporates and then it comes back down, and then eventually evaporates and then it comes back down. You can't destroy water. You can't destroy oxygen. Just like, matter, we cannot create it, nor can we destroy it. So God isn't a physical being. It God is a supernatural being. He's metaphysical. There is no physical aspect of God. I mean, other than Jesus Christ, but that's farther down the line into believing that. Like a Christian believes that that's God made man, but God Himself is purely supernatural. He's not physical at all. I mean, God really isn't a he or a she. It's just he is easier to understand, especially if you're a Christian, because Jesus Christ was a man, so it's easier to think of God as a man. But he's really, he has no gender. It's a supernatural being. It's like the air, it doesn't have a gender. I always get philosophical on alcohol, but I feel like it allows me to really just delve deep into this stuff. But I think that is the ultimate question of life: is God, is if there is God or there's no God. That's ultimately what it boils down to. Like there's no greater question in life than is if there is a supernatural power above human beings or if there's none. Hey, what's up, man? Leave a like if you would. I'd really appreciate it, man. I don't know what's below me or what's above me when you're on YouTube Shorts, but yeah, I'd appreciate it if one of you liked. I'd really like a consistent viewer in here that leaves like a comment and stuff, and because if I said anything wrong or that you disagree with or that you'd like to debate with, I'd love to hear your comments. I should really do videos like this. You know, because at the end of the day, I am pretty philosophically minded. I think philosophy is really the greatest of the sciences because it tries to answer the question of uh, what, where, when, and why humans were put on this earth. Like, there's a lot of questions of why we do certain things, what we do, how we do it, when we did it, and what we do now. But it's like the ultimate question is why we're put on here in the first place, or who put us here. I feel like it'd be cool to become a philosopher. Like a philosopher sounds like a like how are you successful in this world if you're a philosopher? I know there's different like thoughts on this because there's like that Diogenes guy who's literally a homeless, and he's a philosopher, and you know I've listened to like some of his stuff, and he's mostly just like ironic. Like he kind of sounds like me. Like that Diogenes guy is like was homeless. You know he didn't have like much in this world that made him happy, but it's like you know he satiated himself purely on like philosophy. You know, he didn't need like comforts of this world to produce happiness for himself. I think like Socrates and like Aristotle and Plato and stuff were like actually pretty wealthy, like in terms of what they physically owned. And that actually, I mean, I like Greek philosophers more than like a Kant, Immanuel Kant or whatever the fuck. It's like those philosophers were just like nihilists, and it's like I don't really agree with like nihilism and all that stuff. It's like literally a depressive thinking to begin with. It's like, oh, we come from monkeys, we're here, we rely pure on emotions, then we fucking, like, life sucks and you die, and then you die. It's like, well, what's the fun in that? What's the fun in life sucks and then you fucking die? It's like, yeah, life is a struggle. It's a struggle for anyone. Everybody has different struggles, different strengths, different weaknesses. Not like not everyone's suffering probably is the same. Not everyone's level of enjoyment of this life is the same. You know, I'm lucky. I'm lucky because I was born in the wealthiest country in the world. The United States, and there's countries far poorer than me. But it's like even if we measure depression rankings and stuff, a lot of first world countries that don't have many physical um, unhappiness for the most part are often like the most depressed, like Japan and stuff like that. So it's like obviously there's something lacking when a country, someplace in Africa, when they're more happy on average than like the average person. It's because like I feel they realize life is more than wealth attainment or status attainment or you know just trying to impress others. Like happiness is more than just impressing others and showing off and being respected. I feel like being happy in yourself and having happiness in your accomplishments are far more beneficial than what others think about you. And it's also like if you live in a country where a majority compared to the most of the world, us in America, even the poorest man in America is better off than in a lot of aspects than like just some middle class guy in some place in Africa or some poor country in Asia or Eastern Europe or all these places. It's like even there, even a poor guy, you still receive government benefits. You still, you know, you still have a higher quality of like at least physical existence than a poor person of another country. But it's like that just that American mindset that or the Western mindset that you need to impress others to be happy, or you need to attain wealth to be happy, or you need to own a lot of objects that impress people to be happy. It's like I don't think any of that's true. I think it's just a Western mentality. It's just objectification and gratification. Like oh, I have this, or I mean even modern days. It's like a victim mentality. Like I have this struggle that the majority of people don't have, or that I believe that they don't have, so I'm special. It's like I have ADHD, I have autism, I have this, I have that, I'm this gender, I'm this, that. It's like some people feel better being the victim than they do being the victor. It's like it's that victim mentality in the Western world. Is like your life is so much better compared to someone that has it worse than you in another country, and you know their physical life like poverty is way higher, but because you have a way better physical life and physical dwelling and everything like that, and your quality of life in that aspect is so much better. But like stuff like your disability or your gender or your sexuality is, or struggles that you think you have are like better than other people. You're like, oh, I'm in the minority of people. I'm special. So I just want to complain about it to feel better. It's like, dude, everyone has fucking struggles. Everyone has their downfalls. Everyone has their strengths. Everyone has their weaknesses. You aren't special for having those. Just because the majority of people you assume don't have those doesn't mean you're any better than any of them. It's like you're not better than anyone else. You're not worse off than anyone else. There's always someone that's going to be either better or worse than you. And in a certain aspect. There's always someone that's going to be taller than you. There's always going to be someone that's poorer than you. There's always going to be someone that's richer than you. There's always going to be someone that's gayer than you. There's always going to be someone that's straighter than you. There's always going to be someone that's more muscular than you. Everything. There's always going to be someone that's more mentally ill than you. And if you're complaining about being mentally ill, you probably aren't truly mentally ill. There's people that have it way worse than you. There's people that struggle in life way worse than you do. You aren't special. You want to think you're special because you have it so fucking easy. You don't have it worse than anyone else. That's like that's the Western mindset these days. Being a victim. You know why a lot of countries don't struggle with the same problems that we have? You want to know why historically these weren't issues? It's because your ego is too fucking high. Your ego is too high. You think you're too valuable. You complain too much. You're too much of a fucking victim. And it's none of it's true. It's a lie. It's a lie designed to make you feel better. It's you know, you're a victim of the modern age, as like Clockwork Orange would say. Or they said in A Clockwork Orange, you're a victim of the modern age. You aren't better or worse than anyone else. Everyone has their different struggles. Everyone has health struggles. Everyone has mental struggles. Everyone has financial struggles in one way or another. Everyone has all these things. Nobody's perfect. It's like, why, like, stop complaining so much. I feel like the purpose of life should be the focus on improving yourself in all aspects. You know, physical, mental, spiritual, all that stuff. I struggle with it too, man. I waste too much time doing what I shouldn't be doing versus what I should be doing. I feel like that's where most people get it wrong, including myself. It's like we only have so much time on this earth. You know, we spend a third of our life sleeping. Working, work is necessary. Work is necessary for everything. Thinking, building, creating, existing. Hard work, dedicated work is necessary for everything in life. But there's a caveat there. You could spend your time working in one aspect really hard, and you could be working in the wrong area, or you could be while you're too busy, while you're spending so much time working in that one area, you're neglecting other areas. What I personally believe is that you should divide your time between different areas that you need to improve upon. If you focus on one single thing and you achieve it and you get really good at it, that's just one single thing. You know, the human life, human existence is multifaceted. There's many different areas that you need to excel in. You know, I've always been a philosophical thinker ever since, I could think. And it's only recently until now that I really put that philosophical thinking into perspective and how it relates in my day-to-day life. That's why I don't do as much YouTube these days, don't do as much live streams. It's because I've really been thinking about how to improve things. I do waste too much time. I do do mindless stuff like jerk off, watch porn, video games. It's a hit or miss. I don't think it's wrong. YouTube, watching videos, scrolling on Facebook, on Instagram, it's mindless activities. It's something that you could barely think about, react to. It doesn't take much thought into it. Like what I really need to be doing is I'm trying to call this call. I'm trying to call a college. I'm trying to get into college. I'm 19 years old. I didn't take a gap year per se because I spent most of it working. So basically, the year between my graduation and me entering college, I spent half of it working in an actual, retail job, 6 months at Best Buy to be exact. And the remaining 6 months, I still work. Don't get me wrong, I still work. I just don't work in a, you know, area where I need to like clock in and do all that shit and actually be at a physical location. Like, I work and it's in my garage. I work on eBay. I ship stuff. I buy stuff. I sell stuff for profit. Yada yada yada. I do, computers. I enjoy it a lot more than working at Best Buy, where I do the same thing as I do now. I sell computers, um, but I'm only getting, you know, 16.60 something an hour, 16.66 an hour, whatever the hell it is, whatever the hell minimum wage is now in my state. I get, per time, per like the time I spend, I'm getting way more doing computers, so much more. I spend an hour. Let's say I spend an hour at Best Buy. I get paid, no matter what I do, no matter how much I sell, because there's no commission. It's hourly. I only make $16 and 60 something cents an hour. I sell a computer. Let's say I even buy it for like $50 and I sell it for like 150 or something, and I only spend an hour on that computer. Like, what sounds better? I'm making so much more money per the time I spend selling computers. But it's like with a business, with an hourly job when you work for an employer, what you get is security. If you show up and you do your job and it's an hourly wage, you get paid every hour. So that's a sense of strong stability. But sometimes you need to gamble. Sometimes you need to take risks. When I build my computers, there's more factors than the amount of work that I put in. I have to list it. If I list it too high versus what the market value is, there may be a couple of people here and there that might be willing to spend more than the average person is on that item. But I don't bank on that. You don't bank on the minority, you bank on the majority. The majority of people are going to be willing to spend either lower or at market value. So when I list a computer, I look at all the other listings, look at what other people are doing, and then I sell it at market value. But the caveat is that obviously the market value, it's not just considering market value. It's considering how much I spent on it and how much I want to make off of it, how much profit. But realistically, I can build a computer for, let's say, $100 and I want to sell it for $1,000. That's not going to happen. Most people aren't just willing to dish out their money to anyone that asks for it. Obviously, not smart people at least. So what you have to be willing to do is look at the market, look at what people are willing to pay for it, and then list accordingly. That's what I do. I'm pretty successful, honestly. My turnaround time is pretty good. I never undervalue what I sell, but I also never like really overvalue it. Like, like when I sold that computer for 225, yeah, I only spent, I'll be honest here, like $90 on it. I made a good profit. That's $135 profit. I'm happy with that. Guess what? I only spent like an hour on it. So I made $135. If I actually calculate it, like, yeah, there's labor, there's transportation, everything like that. That's all very minimal compared to like just the actual parts, really. So boom, 135 profit. Like I'm happy with that. What job am I gonna make it $135 an hour consistently? That's why like skilled labor is so valuable. It's like if everybody is doing something and there's plenty of options and many options that are better than you, or they'll do your job cheaper. Like if you're in customer service, why would they pay you federal or minimum wage in your state versus they could pay some guy in fucking Bangladesh to do it for just this is just an example for, you know, $3 an hour. Of course they're gonna go for the guy in Bangladesh or the guy in India. That's why a lot of these, like remote job. That's why a lot of these jobs, like on a computer, a lot of these jobs in person, they're getting outsourced because an employer is. I know this from an entrepreneurial standpoint. Us entrepreneurs are going to look for any option we have to reduce our costs of operation and to maximize our profit. And if that means eliminating some of our employees if they're not productive enough, if we could hire more productive employees for less, if we could hire something that could do it for free, like AI, or for a much lower cost annually, and could do the same job and possibly better. Like if we're in coding and then AI just keeps building itself, a coder is going to take an hour to write an amount of code, or a couple hours, or a couple days that AI could write it in a nanosecond for either free or for a far lower cost than your salary. What do you think the employer is going to do? An employer isn't there to make sure that your work life balance or your life gets paid for, that you could afford all of your stuff. An employer is not concerned about that. An employer, their mindset is, how can I maximize my time and my profit margins? In some jobs, you're on the short end of the stick if you're easily replaceable by some offshore guy that'll work for less money, or for AI that will do your job quicker, better, faster, and more efficiently. That's why skilled labor. I'm not in the trade. I'm not technically in the trades. Like I don't do electrician or welding or plumbing, but how I see it is, it's 2025. Pretty much everybody needs a computer, and I get paid for that. And most people don't know how to work on computers. Most people don't know anything about computers. That's where the trades come in. That's where trades and skilled labor comes to beat all the office work. Is because most people don't know how to do it. Most people do not want to do it. But pretty much everybody needs it either right now or at some point in the future. That's where trades make the most money. That's why you hear people in the trades talking about how much money they make. It's because everybody will eventually need an electrician. Everybody eventually needs a plumber. Everyone eventually needs all those people in skilled trade labor. Everyone eventually needs a computer. Everybody needs a smartphone. Everybody needs all that stuff. Everyone needs. You have a computer and you have a virus, or you don't know how to operate it, or something's going wrong. Most people don't know how to replace thermal paste, how to lower your clock speed, how to adjust your BIOS settings. I know how to do all that stuff. Most people do not. So, my mindset is you need to get into something that the majority of people don't know how to do, but it's very necessary for the majority of people. That's why trade people are very successful. Or if you work hard in it, new buildings, old buildings, your house, your apartment, guess what? Every single one of them is going to need an electrician at some point. Stuff can be built to last, but nothing lasts forever. just like plumbing, just like all that. That's why they make fucking bank. And you, with your English major or whatever, you write documents that some, you know, Parjeet in India or Bangladesh or Pakistan does for $2 an hour, and he's happy with it. That's more than he's getting paid working for another Indian guy. Or, even worse, a robot replaces you. If I owned a business, I'd employ some fucking guy to write my essays and type emails and receive calls when I could fucking pay an Indian guy to do it for, you know, less than a quarter of what it takes to pay you. I could have AI do it for free. That's like, it puts people out of jobs, but it's like, it just makes you think, what do we really need? Like an accountant and stuff. It's like, yeah, it used to be necessary when we didn't have the technology to replace them. Now it's like maybe instead of being a fucking accountant or a receptionist or, you know, medical biller or whatever the fuck, maybe you should be maybe you should sell something. Maybe you should have a marketable skill. I'm planning on going to college because I need money. I need more money, a significant amount of money, a stable amount of money. Like if I was to take a loan from a bank, like guaranteed income that I could reinvest and turn it into a business. So that's why I'm going to college, is to hopefully, market willing, get a stable income that I could reinvest and build a business to make even more money. That's my thing about college. If, and that's a gambling. That's 50-50. A lot of people get college degrees and can't find a job because of the market. College degree isn't enough anymore. There's a job market that you have to compete with. There's other people that you have to compete with. Like every other aspect of your life, there's other people to compete with. It's just the research, I guess, tends to indicate college educated people tend to make more on average than those without. So it's like, might as well go for the average majority option that makes me more money. But it's not going to be all end all. I don't want to work for an employer for the rest of my life. I don't want to work their hours with their wage, with their mindset and view on how to make them the most money. I'm worried about how to make me the most money. So that's, I'm going to college, you know, whatever the fuck. I'm in the live stream right now. I have to go piss.